I feel like we've all been in a situation where our makeup looks really good in pictures or on camera or from a distance, but in person it's like a completely different story, especially if we're looking at ourselves very up close in a mirror. It looks like we're wearing a lot of makeup. It looks really cakey or powdery or whatever it is. So throughout the years, I have sort of accumulated a bunch of tips and tricks or like techniques that really help my makeup not only look good like in photos, but also in person and very, very like up close as well. You know, it looks like skin. So yeah, if you guys are interested, just keep watching. First thing that I recommend for makeup that sits very seamlessly on the skin is prepping. Prepping is key, skincare is key, you know, just trying to keep your skin clear of congestion and of like dead skin. Right now the only thing I have on my skin is this, and this is probably like my favorite serum I've ever tried. It's the Fresh Vitamin Nectar Glow Juice Antioxidant Face Serum. So I apply this right after either like rinsing or washing my face in the morning, and I have my under eye cream, and I'm currently using the Ole Henriksen Truth Banana Bright Eye Cream. I'm gonna go in with the Charlotte Tilbury Magic Cream. This is one of my favorite moisturizers, but any moisturizer would work. I just like this one because it doesn't irritate me, and it's like a little thick, so it gives me like a little bit of a glow. And I focus it more on the areas that I like to highlight, because this gives me like a natural highlight in the first place without even having to apply any like makeup or actual highlight. And then I go in wherever I get a little oilier throughout the day with like the least amount of product. You guys can pick whatever sunscreen you want. Today I've been trying out all of the Laura Mercier Pure Canvas primers, and I've been using this one for like the past couple of days. This is their protecting broad spectrum SPF 30 sunscreen. So you don't have to go in with anything else. You can just go straight into whatever base you want. But since I'm trying out all of these new canvas primers, I wanted to try another one. So I've already used the blurring one and I really like it. But today I'm going to use the illuminating one, because why not? They were kind enough to send me all of these primers and I'm trying them all out. So again, I just focused this on the areas that I want illumination in. And if you guys saw my glass skin get ready with me, I do the same technique so that when you apply your actual makeup, you don't have to apply that much of it and it looks good up close. I have 4 colors of my stretch concealer by Glossier. It's just this concealer right here. It comes in a pot. I love using this as my base in place of a traditional foundation, but since I already showed you how I use that in my other video, I want to try something else. So my other favorite skin-like product that looks very, very pretty on the skin and it blends in seamlessly and it also wears very beautifully throughout the day is my Glossier Skin Tint. And again, I use my fingers to blend anything in, and no, this does not give you like a lot of coverage, but I like products that I can build coverage. If I had to cover my skin a little bit more, I would use the stretch concealer, but since my skin doesn't hate me today that much, I'm just using this. Make sure you get like underneath here. Either way, I go in with my bronzer and I bronze my neck. A lot of people don't do that, and I really don't understand why. They have like bronzer everywhere and then they forget to bronze their necks and they have super pale necks. So you guys can see I have discoloration here and here from past eczema, and I have like, I'm pretty sure I have like mild rosacea. So I get very red, but I just use my concealer for covering areas that need a little bit more coverage. So now I'm just gonna correct my under eyes with my Bobbi Brown corrector, and I'm in the shade Light Bisque. This just counteracts the bluish tones that I inherited. So now I'm just gonna conceal, and my favorite concealers are my Nars Radiant Creamy and my Becca Aqua Luminous Concealer And if I want something that's like higher coverage, I go for my Nars. If I want something that's very, very light coverage for like daytime, I'm not filming or anything, I go for my Becca. But this one just like conceals so much better with less product, so I'm gonna use this one today. But either one works really good and they both look really good up close. So for under eyes, I just focus it on the inner part. I don't do like a triangle. I don't do like a crazy amount of concealer anymore underneath my eyes, because this is the area that gets the darkest and I can just blend it outwards with my beauty blender. I use that. And I like this concealer because it's like the same color of my skin tone right now, so I can spot conceal with it. So I go in here because again, I have like my patches here. Now for the star of the show, my beauty blender. This is the one by Real Techniques, but you can use whichever one you want. And I'm just gonna blend this out. I like to work with my redness. I like to embrace it however I can, because I find that if I try to cover it, I just get a lot of product on my face and it doesn't wear as nicely. For the bouncing of the beauty blender, you guys don't have to beat your face up. Gently, just gently pat it and work whatever product you have. If you have any patchiness, gently pat it. You're gonna see me doing this throughout this entire video. I do this a million times. Even after I'm done setting, after I'm done doing everything, I try my best to blend whatever I put on my skin into my skin. Don't go in too harshly, because then you're gonna take off everything you just put on. Don't forget your necks, people. So yeah, you can see like there are certain things over here, I don't know if you can see it, but they're not going to be completely covered, and that is okay. That is fine. I would rather you be able to see a little bit of redness peeking through or a little bit of discoloration than throw on a pound of makeup and have it look super thick and weird throughout the day, or like when you stand really close to me, it looks very, very obvious on my face. And I understand that this is not realistic for a lot of people. If you guys have a lot of acne scarring or hyperpigmentation, I understand that, but I would still try to apply like thin layers as opposed to going in with a lot of like heaviness as your base, and just try your best to cover it, like working in layers. So for setting my face and my under eyes, I have 3 powders that I have tested extensively in hot, humid weather throughout the entire day. I do not touch up my makeup ever. So when I talk about a powder, it's because it's, you know, it lasts. So the first one is my Filtered Effects Translucent Matte Setting Powder from Thrive Cosmetics. The other one that I really love is my Veil Powder from Hourglass. It's also a translucent setting powder. And the last one is my Glossier Wowder. Today, I think I'm gonna use my Hourglass one. So for me personally, to set my under eyes, I have to do the dipping sponge method. I've tried the brush and it just doesn't look good underneath my eyes throughout the day. Keep in mind that my under eyes are darker and they're hollow, so they're very high maintenance. If you have like perfect under eyes, you can go in with a brush, dip it, set it a little bit, and you're good to go. I can't do that, so I have to do this. I remove the excess from the sponge and I just go in, starting from the inner corner, working my way out. And that is it. That's how much powder I use underneath my eyes. So it's already set, but since I use the sponge, it kind of melts everything into my under eyes and it keeps it there, as opposed to if I go in with a brush. So now I just go in on the sides of my nose. And since this powder is really light, I can take it wherever I want. And I get the last little bit, put it on my forehead. So now I'm gonna do my eyebrows really quickly, and I don't know if I'm gonna include it because I've included it in like every single makeup video that I ever do. I do the same exact technique always. I always use the fine liner brow pencil in Deep Taupe by M Cosmetics, and I use my Glossier Boy Brow to set everything. Now I'm just gonna show you like stuff I've been using on my face. They're not really like tips, but I'm just gonna show you like my makeup routine at the moment. So I've been using this Marc Jacobs Omega eyeshadow in Perfecto, and it's like a pearlescent very, very subtle satin shade, and I love using shades like this as my base because it gives me a little bit of a sheen. And I just use this to set my entire lid. I don't care how high I bring it up. Another thing that I love using on my lids, which also gives me like a pearlescent, like kind of like wet look effect, but more wearable, is this Stila highlight in Opulence. And it just gives me like a pretty sheen all over. I don't know if you guys can see that, all over my eyes. I always like to use a little bit of eyeliner because I feel like it really like elongates my eyes. Let's do a faux wing because I don't feel like putting on like a ton of eyeliner today. So this is my favorite eyeshadow to use for my faux wing. It is the Naked Basics palette, the black, which is called Crave. I don't know if they make this palette anymore. I don't think they do. I think it was like discontinued, but it's my favorite black eyeshadow and it lasts me forever. So that's why I still use this. I start at my pupil, so I just bring it outward and I start extending it. And then I start like uniting the two because they like to be united here in this little area. So then I just get my handy dandy Real Techniques definer brush, I think that's what it's called, or detailer brush, and I sharpen it. And you don't have to add anything when it is eyeshadow that you're using. If you're using your liquid eyeliner, you do have to add a little bit of makeup remover, but for my faux wings, I just clean it up without any product. And I just like to like make sure that this point is really sharp. So it really doesn't matter what kind of bronzer you use, whether it's a liquid or a powder, but since I already used my liquid bronzer in my last Get Ready With Me, I'm gonna use my Chanel bronzer. And I kind of like how this powder is not that powdery. It's kind of like a weird consistency. And very, very important, guys, bring it down. Unless you have perfectly bronzed necks, then you don't have to worry about it, but bronze your necks, people. After my bronzer and after like every step, I go in with my beauty blender to blend it into the skin even more. So at this point, my sponge is not that damp. It's like damp but almost dry, and that's very important because you don't want your sponge to remove anything that you apply, especially if you're working with powders. So we blend and blend. A little bit of blush. This is by Laura Mercier and it is the Blush Color Infusion in Peach. And again, very softly blend it out. You guys can use any highlight that you want. Today I'm going to use this one by Chanel. Rub it with my finger and apply it to my cheekbones. And I don't know if you guys can see that, but we are highlighted, people. So I just lightly apply it wherever I apply my highlight. You see, not a whole lot going on. Boom. I like to tone it down. Everything, in my opinion, when it comes to makeup just looks better if it's a little bit more subtle, especially if you're trying to go for a more natural look and you want your skin to look like skin even up close. I don't want to remove too much, but I want to lightly just go over everything that I just did. For my setting spray, my two favorite are the Morphe Continuous Setting Spray and the MAC Fix Plus. You don't want to go crazy with your setting spray either because I feel like it just makes everything look too luminous and too glowy. You want to give yourself a good coat, but don't go crazy. You know, add more if you need to. The same thing that I've been telling you throughout this entire video. Mostly there. And before I go in with my fan to dry everything, once again, I blend everything out. Especially where I have the most powder, which is like this area. Because I want to marry the powder that I set my under eye with everything that's down here. And I also find that if you dry your face with a fan or with your blow dryer after setting it with a spray, for some reason it just looks better. And my favorite mascara at the moment that I've been using is my Tom Ford Badass Mascara. And I know a lot of these products are like expensive and bougie. I don't mean for them to be bougie, but these are just the things that I use and what give me like the best results, like for me. So you guys use whatever you want. So I've mentioned before that my eyelashes don't really hold a curl that well, so I do use a primer. This is the one that I use. It's by Pamela, and it's a mascara primer that helps my eyelashes hold a curl. Starting off with a couple of pumps of my eyelash curler. And I've talked your ear off about how I apply my mascara. Vertically first, I coat the tips first, and then I go in horizontally and I coat from root to tip. Now this is the primer, but I do the same exact thing with my mascara. And then I go in horizontally and I coat from root to tip, and makes a huge difference. And for eyeliner in my waterline, or like when I'm tight lining, I never bring it all the way to my inner corner. I used to do that all the time, and by the end of the day I just have like a buildup of stuff over here. For my lips today, I'm going to use my lip liner by NYX in Nude Beige. For my lipstick, I'm gonna wear Honolulu Honey by Nars. And for your lips, if you want them to look very good, very up close, you want to make sure to exfoliate them and hydrate them before applying product. I always like to go in with some kind of lip balm at the beginning of me starting my makeup, so that by the end, when it's time for me to apply any lip product, it has already like seeped into my lips, and I can just apply like my lip liner and my lipstick over top of everything. If I want my makeup to last, I have to set certain areas of my face that just get a little oilier throughout the day, because it's very hot here and very humid. You guys don't have to do this if you live like in a different climate, or if you don't have like oilier parts of your face. I'm just gonna go in with my powder, but any of those powders that I talked about work very, very good. This is my Morphe M501. I dip it a couple times, get a light coat, remove excess, and lightly tap wherever I need it. For me, it's the top of my eyebrows, sides of my nose, and like this area right here, where like most of our pores are like super prominent and a little larger. Yeah, if you want, you can go in with your sponge again and just really make sure that those little areas that you just set with a powder are like really seeped in, but you don't have to do this. So yeah, this is it. I'm gonna try to get as close as I can to the camera. Please keep in mind, I have little dry patches here and there. I have discoloration, I have redness, I have texture. Your skin doesn't have to be perfect. It's just making it a habit and like a routine to apply your makeup, building things up, as opposed to starting off with a lot of product. But I can look at myself like very, very up close, and you seriously cannot tell, like you can't tell that I'm wearing barely any makeup, you know. So that's everything for this video. Please let me know in the comments down below if you have any of your own tips or tricks for makeup that lasts all day or that looks very good up close in person. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and I will see you in my next video.